before marriage in Nigeria, generally a week to the wedding. And some people even leave it to like 3 days or 4 days to the wedding. They will test. They will go do pregnancy tests, among other tests like HIV, hepatitis. They will want you to get genotype to see if you are compatible and all of that. But the major one that has always been happening is the pregnancy test. And if the lady is found to be pregnant by the person, I mean the intending groom, the church will not join them. It means they have committed fornication, and they will not join them totally, because it's normal for the church to put people who have committed fornication to discipline.
Right.
So what would you say about that? Is that right or wrong?
So we've taken marriage, which is actually a family covenant, because it's a father gives his daughter in marriage, and a father takes daughters for his sons in marriage. So it's very clear if you read through the Old Testament, it's a family covenant, not a church covenant. And all of a sudden we've taken it from the family covenant and moved it to the church, that the church is deciding.
Wow.
No, really, if a man lays with a woman, who decides whether they marry or not? Her father is what it says in the law. Wow. Not the church elders. Her father decides. But then we also have to understand what betrothal is, because the picture of marriage is when Mary and Joseph, they were betrothed, so they had entered into covenant together, but yet they hadn't consummated the marriage.
That's correct.
She was a virgin. She gave birth to Jesus Christ as a virgin. So they were married because he refers to her as his wife, but yet they hadn't had the wedding ceremony. Because that's the picture of the gospel, right? Yes. The gospel is Jesus Christ came, he paid the bride price, he betrothed himself to his bride, and then he went to heaven to prepare a room for her, a house for her, and then he comes back to take his bride, right? And then when he comes back to take his bride, there's the wedding supper of the Lamb. So there's betrothal and there's the wedding. But who decides when the wedding happens? The groom does. Right? Jesus Christ decides when he returns or when his father sends him to return, and then he takes his bride. So the problem that I have with doing a pregnancy test, and obviously if it's another man, that's a whole different story. That's true. But if it's a man and a woman that have been put in a situation where they can't resist their desires, which is why they're getting married in the first place, the reality is they're already married. 1 Corinthians 6 is very clear. It says that, if you lay with a harlot, the two become one.
That's correct.
And then you're joining her to the church. That's why to lay with a prostitute and to be in the church is, you need to put them out of the church, right? Okay. But this is the case where they're already married in one sense, but they haven't consummated the marriage. But the young man or his father is the one who decides when the marriage should be consummated. And so the marriage being consummated it's not good, and it would be good to rebuke them for lack of control. And it would be good to rebuke her father. Because the reality is the law says that if on a wedding night, they look at the sheets and she wasn't a virgin on her wedding night, and the young man says, it wasn't me, then she's supposed to be taken to her father's house and stoned. Wow. So that she's put to death, but shame is brought upon her father's house. Wow. And so the father of a girl has a real responsibility to protect that girl from that situation. Because let's be serious, you're a father, you're a married man, I'm a married man. Yes. We both remember what it was like before we got married.
Very well.
And with your daughter, you should remember that when she's betrothed is the temptation. It's really easy for us to think of that pressure and that desire and that temptation and think, oh, my sweet little daughter isn't going to do the same thing. Yes, she is.
That's right.
And so you have to protect and you have to shepherd your children, your sons and your daughters, to make sure you're in a situation to protect that, because the shame isn't just on them. The shame is they had an opportunity.
Wow.
And that opportunity shouldn't be there. And the fathers are the ones that have the responsibility to stop that opportunity.
Wow, that's true. It means we have a lot of responsibilities as fathers.
Yes, and I think, in the Western society as well as in Africa, I think that most fathers are doing a pretty lousy job of fulfilling their responsibility. They send their daughters off to university.
Exactly.
There's even a very large university that's a Christian university in the United States. And when I was a homeschool leader, there were these people that protected their daughters up through high school, through secondary school. They graduate and then they go to university and they're pregnant in 3 months. Even though they did all this protection. That happens all the time, and we need to stop being naive. the pressures that we felt that drove us to marriage are the same pressures that our children are feeling.
correct.
And we need to give them support by giving them protection against their own lusts.
That's true. Thank you so much.